here. Um, Let me know if I can see your comments. I'm not sure how to do this. It's my first live post, so I'm not sure how it works. Um, oh, what happened? Nope. Okay. I don't know what I did there. Oh yeah, okay, so there's everything. So I guess the reason I'm starting this post is just because of a thing that happened yesterday. Just to give you a little bit of a history, I have CPTSD based mostly as a result of family situations, mostly to do with um, a mom who has her own personality disorder, and she's an addict, and she has her own traumas, Hikera, um, as well as a lot of the family dynamics that were going on during my childhood and adolescence that contributed to a lot of stress. There was a lot of manipulation. My parents had a really messy divorce, and the people who were involved all were kind of manipulative of me as a young child, and I ended up having a lot of, I guess, knowledge about situations and about the people that were the real role models and important people like family and parents in my life that were um, supposed to be the most important, and instead I had all of these negative feelings about them, and so I really didn't have people that were like good role models for me. Um, so I guess everything has continued to, I guess, escalate throughout my life. So not only is there this, not only is there this sort of situation where I have a really bad trust of family members, and people that are important in my life. And so people who are new have an importance in my life. But the people in my life who are my parents and who have become, I guess, who I've always sort of had this negative view of, have continued to just manage to deteriorate to such a level of non-functional anything that I'm like constantly met with this um, I'm constantly met with this, I guess, combination of I've expected this, and like so like no shit, this was coming. and and oh my god, like how much worse is this gonna get before it gets better? Um, I've dealt with family. I've taken in siblings who were abused and been threatened and harassed. I've dealt with substance abuse from my family. I've dealt with manipulative behavior. I've dealt with physical abuse, emotional abuse, manipulation, isolation. I have memories, like early memories from when I was really young, like taking care of my little sister and learning how to cook because I had to, all the way to like being really confronted about who I am and not being accepted for who I am. I used to be gothic and kind of a metalhead and a little bit of a rebel, and having, people not accept that, like it's just constantly kind of going to shit, to the point that now I have a 2-year-old son and my mom has seen him 4 times. Um, she recently split up from her ex, who's now terminally ill. My brother's dad, my mom's second husband, is now like an addict, and he's like going through some kind of psychosis. Oh, Kira, thank you. Uh, I kind of like that we have something in common, but then at the same time, I'm like, shit, we have something in common that's kind of, probably we have other things in common that are cool too. um, Yeah. So I figured I'd be around in case anyone wanted to like ask questions or talk about um I guess the family complexity of CPTSD, when it results from family, it's exceptionally hard. I also work in the mental health field, and when it does happen, yeah, I'm sure we'd be able to relate, Kira. You seem super awesome, and like you're so involved in the group and everything, and it's really cool. Um, it's really cool to hear other people talking so openly about their like about their situations, and yeah, exactly, like understand what we're going through and be able to relate in that type of way. You're so sweet. Mm. I always exhibited a lot of my younger behaviors um, through anger. And so I used to be an extremely destructive person. I used to be an extremely like resentful person. I self-harmed. I did a lot of things. And so people, I guess like the psychologists from when I was younger never associated anything that I was going through with actual PTSD because of how destructive I was. And so they thought I was depressed, or they thought I had like an attachment disorder or like a oppositional disorder and things like that. And so a lot of the early interventions that I went through were like correctional interventions, like correcting my behavior and correcting things. And the family situation seemed to kind of slip through the cracks a little bit, where it was never really examined, like what, like the source of, like everyone always used to say that um, I guess like the source of my anxiety and my behaviors was resentment and anger towards my parents. But like, what do you do with an 8-year-old? You kind of just try and get them to behave a little bit, and maybe fix what's going on. But it just kind of constantly deteriorated from there. Um, I think as I got older, I started to, I guess, use that, like, I guess, defense mechanism of sublimation, where when something was going really wrong in my family, I started doing things that were extremely productive. Um, I played piano from a young age, from 3 years old, and I started doing like conservatory exams and performances, which later led to composing, which later led to a degree in music. Um, and when I was getting my degree in music, my dad was going through a really difficult time with alcoholism. And then when I decided to go into psychology, that's when my mom really started to have difficulties with alcoholism. And she really, really kind of, it's almost like she kept all of the anger and like the like like uh, like that tendency to alcoholism and addiction in for so long that when she finally gave into it, it was like, holy shit, like I'm 17 and you used to like be this like mom who wasn't perfect, and like you took off when I was 8 years old, so thanks for that. But always passionate and seemed to care so much about, like almost too much about what I what I was doing, into someone who like missed my graduation because she needed to go travel and drink to Australia, and like she needed to be scuba diving when I graduated, and she needed to be like, she never came to any of my recitals and things like that. But all of these things happened when I was like 17 or 18. So when I was having a reaction to it, she's like, you're an adult, grow up. I've been there your whole childhood. I'm done type attitude. So a lot of the issues that I have really stem from my mom. So I'm sorry if this is upsetting to anyone, because moms, when they suck, fuck, they're like really, really tricky. Um, and I think as I got older, Kira, you have issues with your mom too? Never too late to learn piano. I still teach. I teach adults. I barely play anymore because of the fact that the piano that I grew up on. My mom, in a drunken craziness, like kind of destroyed my piano, and now every time I play, your parents, yeah. My dad's an alcoholic, but he's a different type. Like he controls it in a way, so it's much easier to be around because you know sort of when to leave. Like you can handle the ins and outs. My mom is so unpredictable and so destructive. It's like it's incredible. And I think as an adult, the hardest thing to deal with was when my stepdad was abusing my little brother. He was becoming physical. Oh my god, I'm jealous that you can dance. Why wouldn't she let you? What the hell is that? That's not even a thing. But no piano for you. Yeah, my mom, like, and well, so yeah, so my stepdad, he's abusing me. This is going on. This is like today. This is like within the past year. I'm fast forwarding because there's just so much that's happened in the last like 20 years that I just putting bits and pieces together make kind of an interesting story. Um, that isn't too frustrating to listen to. So my stepdad is abusing my 18-year-old brother right now. He's forcing him to. Yeah, Kira, I'll definitely message you. It seems like we could chat a lot. Yeah. Um, yeah, so my he's messing with my brother because he's forcing him. I don't know what's happening with him. I don't know if it's drugs. I don't know if it's a psychosis of his own. Like I don't know what's going on with him, but basically he is completely controlling of my brother, and he's completely like just manipulating him, and he's like brainwashed my brother against the whole family until one day my brother like completely broke down and came to me and was like, I'm so sorry that I've like not been involved in your life. And I was like, okay, what's going on? Like this isn't like him to just be like apologizing. My brother is an angel. He's like an amazing guy. And yeah, so um, he kind of opened up and finally admitted that this is what's going on. Like he's being like abused and forced to take out money from his education fund because his dad is literally dragging him to the bank and forcing him to take this money out. And my brother's going to law school. Like my brother's brilliant. He wants to go to law school or study political science. He's one semester away from graduating college and going to university. Um, and my stepdad was like messing all of that up for him. So I told my brother to come live with me, and he spent 6 months here, and I spent every single day of that 6 months dodging harassment and police and child services and all sorts of situations in order to protect. Gaslighting, yeah, because my stepdad doesn't believe in mental illness. And he used every single time that I opened up to him about my mental illness in the past 20 years against me, where he's telling police that I'm crazy, and he's telling police that I'm twisted and like demented, and I'm on the phone with child services like something is seriously wrong here. Somebody needs to force this guy to get a psych evaluation because yeah, really, like is something is seriously wrong. And so it's extremely frustrating because I mean, this is a man who like he raised me, and yes, he was abusive, and yes, he was like, aggressive and not nice to me, but he was someone who also coached my soccer team and who also at a one point was an extremely important father figure in my life. And so as much as I'm angry with him and I'm frustrated and I just want him to get away from me because he's causing me a lot of trauma, I'm also equally worried. So it's just this frustrating situation where, like, now I can't have a relationship with him and I'm completely blind to what's going on. I finally got child services to tell the police to back off and to tell him to back off because my brother's 18. Like the cops don't need to intervene at this point. Um, and uh, and then he says to my brother, "I'm gonna cut you off from your education fund if you don't come home." Am I in contact with my stepdad or my brother? I'm in contact with my brother. I talk to him almost every day, but my stepdad, after everything, he's like, yeah, so no, I'm not in contact with my stepdad because of everything that's happened. He's completely blocked me, and actually, it's gotten so bad that nobody speaks to him anymore. So my brother is really the only person who talks to my stepdad. He's that isolated, like to the point that friends of 30, 40 years, his family, his like everybody, nobody talks to him anymore, and he's with a completely different group of people. I really think that he's up to something really bad, and I have this constant feeling that something's going to happen. Like someone's going to come and show up and hurt me. Um, Someone's going to like just be there. I often hear his voice. Like I find I have a lot of difficulty. Like with my PTSD, I get like tricked a lot when there's background noise. So if there's like a fan or a shower, kitchen fan, like anything like that, I start hearing. I don't know if anyone else gets that, but I start hearing things where like all of a sudden I have to like stop and listen to make sure that there's nothing there. Um, so I think that is difficult. Like I constantly think that someone is going to show up to my work and like become belligerent, or someone's going to show up at my house and bang on my door. And you get that? Oh my god, I really always thought that I was the only person who got that. I sometimes have to turn my shower off because I can like hear like a younger version of myself getting yelled at and crying, or I can hear like someone knocking on the door, breaking my door down, and I don't know, it's like so irrational. Um, and then I make these connections with things that I'd like to do, like such as with my piano with my mom, and I have this like inability to do things that I like because of connections that I make that scare me. You know, like my mom destroyed my piano, and now I can't play piano without seeing her in her like drunken God knows what with her friends, and I can't play piano anymore. Um, like I can't sit down and play a song that I composed. So yeah, PTSD sucks. In case anyone didn't know that. Oh man, no. I dissociate, but I don't have dissociative identity disorder. I never I don't. I That's rare. I like yeah, yeah, that's hard. So I guess you're not gonna go see Split anytime soon. Sorry for the joke. Sorry if that's not funny at all. Like don't. I'm sorry. Um, um, I dissociate in groups. Like when I'm in a group, I start getting like a migraine and I start having like. Did you watch it? Okay, okay, okay. I'm dying to see it, but I'm terrified to see it. It's like a weird thing. Um, but I keep seeing the memes and I can't help but like laugh. And then I have like I don't have dissociative identity disorder because I don't have alters. Like I'm always myself, but I often watch. Oh, like that one with There's one with like Edward Norton or something, or um, John Cusack. United States of Tara. Okay, I'll check that out. Um, yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky to like deal with. Like I dissociate in a way that like I guess like I just kind of feel like I'm watching myself be in a group or be in a situation, and I don't always feel like I'm really there. Like, yeah, the motel one, that's the one. It's the one with the motel, and there's the little boy at the end. That was crazy. That was a freaky movie. Those psychological thrillers really get to me. Um, um, yeah, so I mean, yeah, I don't know, like dissociating, I get like that, but I don't feel like I'm me, but I'm also not really anyone else. I'm just kind of nobody. What's it called? Oh my God, I feel like Googling it. Hold on. Let me check this. It's called it's called Identity. Oh my God. Put all this movies out. I would love to hear more about your altars. That would be a really interesting discussion to have because it's such a rare. Um, it's so it's so rare. I guess like I don't have altars, but I have like I think they make it look so bad that people assume people with it are insane. Yeah, it's hard. I uh, I know what you mean. I don't have altars, but I definitely have like there's work me, there's mom me, and there's like I put myself into little categories where I'm not sometimes not really ever really me, but like for example, when I'm at work, I could never lose my temper, whereas at home, I have a temper and no patience. And I'm like, what the hell is going on that I have no control over that? Like whereas at work, I deal with psychiatric patients all day and never lose my patience, always have good judgment, like I don't doubt myself, I have self-confidence, like, and so a lot of the times when I'm there, I feel like I'm watching myself like who's this person who's totally in control? Like that's not really me. I don't really recognize myself at all. Um, and another thing is like having a diagnosis and working in mental health where like I work in the field. I'll definitely check it out on YouTube. It's weird, like I work in the field, and so I often have this situation of doubt where it's like, how can I know if I'm really dealing or really helping people and still have the come home to the disorder itself, like I have to put the disorder away when I'm at work. And then I wonder, like, if I'm able to do that, then why do I have this disorder altogether? Like, why can't I just stop having it all the time instead of just at work? So I get frustrated there too. Also deals with, no, I have never met anybody who deals with dissociative identity just because it's so rare. Um, I have one colleague who has one client who has DID, but we don't discuss it because of confidentiality. So he's like, yeah, no, in my job, it's so rare. It like doesn't really happen. And so I had one client once who, um, he didn't have dissociative identity as much as he had kind of kind of like an imaginary friend. He had it was like a projection of an identity that was always there. He had schizophrenia, so it's a little bit of a different situation altogether, but no, like the splitting and the alters, like I deal more with people who have, I don't know what it is. No, it's so rare, it never happens. It's like really crazy. Um, so interesting because of the splitting. Like usually what happens in situations like that is a personality disorder develops or an attachment disorder develops. The fact that someone, who does it have these two or more alters? Yeah, it's two. How much do you know about this disorder? Because I could read you some diagnostic criteria. You have 9 alters? Wow. Maybe we should turn this into a private message since no one's watching. It's been almost half an hour. Yeah. Well, I think I'll sign off just because I'm not really talking about family at this point. But if I'll sign out, but if anyone else wants to message or comment or ask me any questions, I'm always free to do it. And if anyone wants to discuss family a little bit more, I'm happy to go into more details next time. So, night, everybody.